Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special episode of Paranormal Brew on Friday afternoon. I have an amazing guest with me. Everybody, I don't even think you need an introduction. Everybody knows who you are. But I have Ben Hansen with me. Ben, I'm like such a huge fan of yours. I have to say thank you so much for coming on. You don't remember this, but I did interview you a long time ago. I had you on a show called Paranormal Straight Talk. And it was like one of the best interviews I've ever listened to. So I'm grateful to be able to do this with you again. I know we have limited time, so I am going to shut up. I just really want to talk. We'll just talk about you and like the things that you did and how you got into the paranormal. Because originally you were, FBI, and you did a lot of stuff out in Utah with like sex crimes and this and that, and then you finally got into the fact or faked and UFOs and all that kind of fun, awesome stuff. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
It cut out for quite a while. I probably froze. Yeah.
The whole time I was talking.
I apologize for the things
Delay.
I don't have control over the internet, but yeah, thanks for the intro. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Sounds good. I didn't know if there was a question there or not. I missed about like 20 seconds.
No, I was just saying like like you started in like FBI and doing like in Utah you were like doing like sex crime stuff, and somehow it led you into this different path of investigating, but you're investigating the unknown, the supernatural, the UFOs and everything. And most of us started knowing who you were from the show Fact or Faked, which was an amazing show. I watched every episode. I thought it was great. But how did you wind up making that transition? You know what I mean? From FBI to that, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I think they parallel each other investigative wise, but they're two totally different things, right? You have science and then you have, supernatural.
Yeah. Well, first let me clarify. You said, like I understand, but doing sex crimes, I didn't do sex crimes, and you investigated them.
You investigated them, right.
So yeah, the transition, I guess what I'd say mostly, I'd been interested in the paranormal subjects far long time before I got into that. So it was like UFOs, and actually when I was in the academy, we'd take breaks on the weekend, go places, and a couple of us went and gated an old bed and breakfast, like in West Virginia. It was pretty cool because we like looking around because we heard it was haunted and stuff. So I was before, but the transition different. I mean, because you're not like when you investigate paranormal and stuff, nobody's going to court over this, right? So you don't have meticulous reports. However, when I was doing like fact or faked and stuff, people didn't see is my report writing about news was very similar. Like I was just OCD with it, right? And I would all the details as if I was going to be called to court with evidence on things. And that changed over the years, because I knew no one was going to see me. I probably would never write a book about it, but it was still important to me because if I have any opinion and base findings on things, that type of documentation is, what I used to do in my career. There's that, and then the interviewing of people, and that transition well because getting people to talk about difficult things and sometimes very traumatizing was a skill that I've used. Was alleged abductees, people people serious traumas, things like that. And you can't really like, we had a lot of people who hoaxed things. You can't, when you interview them, you can't hold over, they're going to go to jail, right? So
Right,
it's a
right,
lot easier when people are faking things, the paranormal fun and games, and there's no repercussion for it. It's
right.
very different in a criminal case because it's illegal to lie, to theaters, and there's real consequences. Those things are different as well. And plus, nobody nobody pays you for paranormal. I don't know anyone legitimately will go into somebody's house and charge them. So it either has to be a hobby or part of a show where you have the time to dedicate to it, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's one of the things. Like, I mean, like watching Fact or Fake. I have a question. Like, I mean, the lengths that you guys went to, right? Like, you guys would get these claims, and I'm sure you had to investigate the claims before you actually put them on the show. Um, when you would, when you were investigating these claims, it almost seemed to, like, to me, and I could be totally wrong, but like your resources to be able to reproduce those claims um, were far much. It almost like I felt like, I mean, there were some that you guys couldn't explain no matter what you did, but um, do you think that the people though that came to you with these claims, like, would have been able to have those resources that you had to be able to recreate them? And if not, did it make their claims to you like less valid because they couldn't? Does that make sense?
I caught most of that. So, and is like if they were to like hoax something, how it would be? Is
Like,
that kind of what you're saying?
yeah, like, so if somebody was giving you something, because you guys would take that stuff and you try to recreate. Um, Most people don't have the resources that you guys had to recreate. But if you were still able to recreate it, you could say, okay, yeah, this, we don't know if this is real or not. But like just a normal person, wouldn't have those resources. Would you still deem it as a fake, or would it be just one of those limbo
Oh, I
things?
see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was part of it. Like if we were looking at the hoax scenario, part of it because even though we could replicate something that it was faked, right? Show how it could have been done, but you're right. Stuff we went to was like getting Hollywood to help us, and spending lots of money. Not likely that the average person would go to that length. So sometimes we'd point that out and
Right,
say to people, okay, yeah, we did it, but look at how much trouble we had to go to. So is that likely? Right.
right,
And so even replicating a video is not the nail in the coffin. It's more like just supportive, uh, kind of like collateral evidence that's it's more likely that they did it this way or that it. And so, just like anything else, a witness test, you're not just relying on one piece of evidence. You're put, and if they had the means and the to do something, it makes it more likely that it was hoaxed or the explanation or like that. So also we had a whole team of people, but the whole production who came up with ideas. So like when we're tossing ideas around, sometimes it be tough because it's an entertainment show. But I remember some of the ideas, like the Chupa incident. We had this video of this thing with a huge head running in front of this police crew. Around ideas. Well, what can we do for an experiment? And use a miniature pony. And they were kind of joking, right? They're kind of joking about it, but like um they often then will run these ideas by the network, like and stuff, and they put it in there. They didn't mean to put it in there, but idea. So next thing you know, we're renting like Shetland pony, to replicate this. But it surprised me because even though that's so ridiculous that there's a pony on the loose, as the thing, I'm like, wow, it kind of does have the same shape, the
Right.
same shape of a head, but miss it, because some of these things were just so outlandish. But again, that shows to what length, if we're looking at every possible reason, and yet we still have to stretch and go through the outland, then it may truly be anomalous or weird.
Would you guys pick stuff that came to you? Would you guys pick stuff that you didn't think was real and you wanted to try to prove it was, or did you pick things that you thought was real and probably could prove it wasn't, or was it anything?
Well, there wasn't a lot of cases that, like, if we knew from the beginning, we got this one solved, we know what this is, what's the point of doing it, right? You can still have some experiments to do with it, but it's between you can take a lot of UFO and you can try and replicate some of, lasers or something off of a piece of glass, but you can't do that more than once. Did some of them with balloons and stuff, but being that you have to also entertain, same experiment over and over. Reasons, with different selections, even though we might have a good video to challenge ourselves and create new experiments. The series, which went 3 seasons, 12, that's 36 episodes. Each episode, each case, okay, we had 2 per episode. So now we're at 72. Of the 72 cases, just about at least 2 and usually 3 experiments. So now you're over 200, I think, maybe 200 different experiments, which blew my mind looking back at it. In the world are we going to come up with 200 unique experiments? So I really give credit to the team, to the production, to everybody to come up with ideas like that. And it really was a trailblazing series.
It was
doing this at the time.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It was awesome. There's 2 that stick out. You did remember that story that a family put out where the dad and the kid, they caught what looked like a silver, I don't know, I guess they were saying it was a UFO, and it was a family. You guys, I remember watching that episode, and you guys, I remember thinking like, wow, they really go through. That's what made me think about the extensive, like all the stuff that you have to be able to try to they wound up coming out later and saying they did hoax that, you know what I mean, like later on, but you guys did disprove that on the show. You were able to recreate that very easily. But there was one that sticks out in my head. I don't know where it was at, but it looked like an apparition coming at a camera, like this way. And you guys had gone out to the same spot and you guys were like trying to recreate it. And everything that you did, it didn't get recreated. You couldn't recreate it. That was one of my favorite episodes.
Was that the one in the cemetery?
Yes, where somebody had on video, like it looked like an apparition coming at the camera. Or like a mist, or it was like that was such a good episode.
One bugged me a lot because when it aired, oh, you idiots, it's a spider web. It's a spider web. Look down, you can see it's a spider web. And I showed him, I said, because it didn't appear in the show doesn't mean we didn't consider that.
Right.
Right. There's so limited time, not have time to address half of, and that one in particular, we had looked at it with spider web, but I broke down like frame by frame afterwards because we're thinking that we're idiots. And I believe it could have been a spider web because lax effect of how quickly these people were walking and how quickly this thing would have passed them makes sense. For it to be an object that had to have been something that came from far away, because you can see distance that it covers. It's much too quick for someone walking. So it's really weird to me. And when you, which a lot of people don't, and you launching, I had to pull out my old trigonometry from high school because I hadn't done the math for a long time. In some of these cases where I was like, how can I figure, like there was a case in Bodega Bay, California, where this light was hovering in the bay, and I had filmed it from his balcony, and we helicopter to see if it could have been a helicopter hovering, and did all these things. And I told the producers, I was like, give me a sec, give me like half a day, because I think we can figure out the height of this object if we use trigonometry. And it was really neat because, I mean, I liked that stuff in high school, but basically we took a laser and shined it off the water to where the reflection of this thing was. And no one, had told me about how reflections work, read up on this. But I was able to determine the height he was from his house down to the water. We figured that this thing was probably water. And it's like, okay, now you started looking at things like boats, and we found these boats that come in and they have these big mercury lights, these fishing boats, would have put it about 30 feet in the water.
Yeah.
Right. And so it perfectly with my estimate and everything. It was just filmed in a log, so it looked like it was a light hovering over the bay. So that's really satisfying to me because it can be used, number crunching, all the stuff that people don't want to do because they just want to make up their opinion right away, sitting on the couch like, oh, that's fake. Oh, that's this or that. But they don't base their opinion on a logical method, a scientific methodology.
Right.
I really enjoy that part of the show.
No, I loved it, and I'm like, that's one of the reasons I loved your show. You know what I mean? Like just seeing the process that you guys did to try to really figure out, if this is something that can't be explained or can be explained. Did you talk to the people then afterwards that like submitted these like videos? Like, were they accepting of your conclusions, or did they get mad? Did they say, because everybody, I mean, gosh, nowadays you tell people, no, that's just a spider web, or it's a like a wet droplet or moisture. I mean, people go off the handle. They're like, what are you talking about? That's a ghost. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, all the above. It's a touchy subject because people all the time send me videos and photo, and they'll say something like, hey, my dad died recently. I think he's been visiting in the house. Got these orbs and stuff. He thinks it's my dad. And I was like, well, I'm sorry for your dad and your loss, but that is, you want my honest opinion.
Right.
And they're like, of course. I said, I have to ask because look, personally, nobody, and I take my time to do it. And it's kind of insulting and hurtful if I spend all this time looking at your evidence and then tell you my honest opinion, and you turn back in my face and call names, and say that I'm a shill And then I'm like, what? That I'm trying to cover up a ghost investigation? Like, cares about that, right? And, and so it's really ridiculous because but a lot of their belief in something like life after death on an orb, right? A
Right.
picture. And I'm like, look, this doesn't mean your dad isn't trying to communicate with you. It doesn't mean that I believe your dad still is alive. I mean that he has continued. I believe you're going to see your dad again. You can have all those beliefs, but this orb, I believe, is evidence of that. I believe, the XYZ. So
Yeah.
you're right. It's really to do that, and then sometimes they see it and they get ticked off, because 6 people and each people on our team opinions, but the way the edit comes out, it may sometimes made it sound like that was the group's consensus, when they're just taking one person's opinion. No, I actually disagree with that, So anyways, they don't know how TV's, and it all comes back to us because we got to answer to those people who are upset. There's another show. There is a show right now on Discovery, called Alien Encounters, and I'm credited in it because my team, and they receive all these stories filmed in Roswell, and these people come with UFO videos and things, and then they sit down and the host presents what they believe the findings are. There were some people there too that got really ticked because my team definitively, in my opinion, 98% determined that some of this stuff people were seeing was the International Space Station,
Right.
or Starlink, and then you present that to them, and again they build a belief on the fact that this was a sign, or they're communicating with the UFO, and and I'm like, look, it is what I can show you how we do it. I can found the database, what you were looking at. It's a matter of probabilities, and I'm not saying it's 100%, but don't come to ask for help in solving a thing if you don't really want the opinion.
Right. 1000%. I mean, and I agree with that. I mean, I mean, people have to have an open mind when they are, if they want your opinion, they have to be able to accept, don't ask the question if you can't accept the answer, and it goes either way. And for me, I would want to know, like, I wouldn't want to walk around and say, hey, look, I got this picture of this apparition without having somebody with the skill set to be able to determine whether or not that really is something. You know what I mean? And if you
Yeah.
said to me, no, Taryn, like, we could recreate that, it's really not. I'm not going to get mad. That's going to save me from looking like an idiot down the road, because somebody else could come along and go, yeah, no, why are you telling people that?
Yeah.
So
And we all know that, like, I was just going to say, we all know our own evidence. Like, if you can be critical to your own first, then I know what it feels. I know, like, if I capture an EVP and I know who's in the room, and you just have to take my word for it. I don't, um, don't feel like that. What am I trying to say? I don't require you to believe me just based on my word,
right.
right? I understand, because you weren't there, that you just are be presented with what's available, and you have an EV. Someone could have faked whatever. And so if you told, oh, that was a radio station, that was someone in the room, like, no, I know because I was there and nobody said this. It was
Right.
then we're gonna have a difference of opinion, but I don't need to be mad at you, right? Because I can see from you can't be proven.
Right.
So it's like that. But even when I get my own evidence, you have to look at all sides of it and hold on to it like your holy grail, that
Yes.
will destroy my evidence, sort of a thing, because I've had a number of things that I later felt like I explained, and I don't care. I'm not invested in it. I'd like it to be strange, of course. That'd be cool to capture things, but don't get invested in your own evidence so much that you're blinded, to be presented with a natural explanation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so you like your niche is extraterrestrial UFO alien, right? Like that's you prefer that, like for me, I prefer for lack of better description, Casper. You know what I mean? Like I prefer, paranormal, ghosts, hunting, whatever you want to call it. You correct me if I'm wrong, do you prefer the UFO alien on that side of things?
Not necessarily. I think that both. So present a question, right? One question is there life after death? Paranormal tries to address that because we want to. And afterwards, where does it go? And a lot of people trying to figure that out because I already have a strong belief in death. I don't need it proven to me through EVPs, right, or anything.
Agreed. Right.
But the other question is there life on other worlds? A lot of people get into the UFO subject because well, if we can prove there's extraterrestrial life, then that will solve that one. And I believe in that, and it's I have no evidence, but my own religious beliefs. There's other populated worlds. So the reason I'm into this is more like I'm curious how technology is now capturing things.
Right.
And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
I like both fields, but with UFOs and stuff, I will say there's probably more of a global impact if this is true, sociologically and everything. I think it's going to impact on the world currently to be able to say that we're being visited from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so you don't see that with ghost stuff, right? There's nobody in Congress demanding that they release the files on poltergeists and stuff like demonic things, because it seems to delve more in that people disagree on a lot. But with UFOs, and the extraterrestrials, it's like you're dealing with a possible government cover-up and a long-standing right of crash retrievals and black budgets, and there's a whole lot of other things implicated into that, which are actionable. That like you can actually get Congress and a movement and people to say, we want to know about this, deserve to know about this. And so all of that's going. It's maybe a little bit more not fascinating to me, but what I'm trying to say is that there's actually being put into that by the government too.
Right. It is 30 minutes, but I don't know if you have time for just a teeny bit more. I'm not trying to keep you. I know we only had 30 minutes.
Okay.
On the UFO side of it, have you ever heard of Gary Sudbrink? Just
you cut out just a little bit of what?
Of Gary Sudbrink. Have you ever heard of him? His claims of getting these phone calls from an unknown, they believe it to be like an extraterrestrial or, a source. He actually was able to record these phone calls on his it was back when you had to have like the tape recorders for your answering machine. So he was able to record them on that. I didn't know if you ever heard those. I would love to know your opinion. If you don't mind, if I could send you the link.
His name doesn't ring a bell. I know of others that they've claimed, to be having, like things put in their mail or things on their answering machine, from the Galactic Federation or something. Problem with those is it's so easy to fake.
Right.
And there's legendizing, call it, like, so if they're either trying to sell a book or get, views on social media, it's not all monetary, but sometimes it's just like, hey, they think it's fun. And the problem with that is some of these people have a time on their hands,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not a particular individual, so I don't know the details of it, but
Yeah, he's the
that
opposite.
would be it.
Yeah, he's the opposite of that. Like I literally asked him for 2 years to come on my show. He finally came on and we talked about it. He's like
Uh-huh.
one of those people that's like, he doesn't want to talk, like he's afraid to talk about it because he's afraid like it's gonna like put it out there, and you know what I mean? So but he finally did come on and
Well,
and and
how does he know that he's not being punked?
all right,
Right? If even
right.
someone like that is not looking at themselves, how easy is it to, like, we, back in the day, you had your phone, your landline, you dial somebody's number and accidentally dial the wrong number.
Correct.
I didn't do this, but as kids, sometimes some lady and then like got the wrong number and she was kind of upset. Oh, let's keep calling that lady. She
Oh yeah,
she
yeah,
was got really upset last time, and this is before, star
yeah. True.
69.
Yeah.
And so, kids prank people, and like, what if, found it funny to call and leave him strange messages, and that's
Yeah.
all that it could be.
Right.
So, I don't know.
One last cryptids, Bigfoots, Mothmans. What are your take on cryptids?
I've always said I think people, they have to be open to the possibility of other theories besides just an undiscovered creature, because I've heard so many very credible stories of people coming face to face with, like a lake monster that's 10 feet from them, foot who's 30 feet from them, and they can the features of the animal that it's not someone in a costume. And I believe that there's so many credible accounts of people that I trust, something to it. And so then I say, well, why have a captured one? Why isn't there a dead one? Why isn't there evidence of that? Strange as it is, I think you kind of have to be open to the possibility of not always there.
Right.
Like, how could there be a lake monster, man-made lake, that only existed 100 years ago?
Right.
But people see this thing, rising its head above, and it's not just a ripple or a river otter or something. So I am open to that possibility, and the fact that they're writing papers about portals and where things might be able to exist in two places and kind of move, in a blink of an eye. That's possible, I believe. What I think about cryptids for the most part, people who are just like, no, it's just an animal that's it's it's lived all these years very loose, bred, and like eats and hunts. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to say that's not true either. There's this, but I think it's probably going to be than the conventional explanation.
Right. Right. Um, well, it's I don't you have to tell me. I know we were only 30 minutes, so I we're at 35 minutes. Because I could talk to you forever. But you know, I do want to thank you so much for coming on and you know just talking to us, about all this stuff. I really, is there any, works that maybe, you might maybe fact or faked or something like that again? I mean, is there like a possibility that you would ever consider that, something like that?
Oh, I unfortunately, I'm not the one with the money. So it's been pitched in different forms for years. I really think a reboot of Factor do amazing.
Yes.
Keep in touch with a lot of the team members, and I know some of them are still available and could do it. But we're developing and pitching shows to different networks that may have some of from the past in it. But I just finished a show that we're waiting to see if that'll get again, and it was fun. It's called Strange and and it's in like select market on TMZ, so you can still go at strangeandsuspicious.com and see all the episodes. But if that gets picked up again, we won't probably for several months. And then I don't know. I mean, the events across the country have been really fun this year. It's good to see some of those, like the paranormal conference back a little bit. So I think scheduled right now is Phenomicon, which is Skinwalker Ranch,
Yes.
cast and people.
Have you been there,
happening
Ben?
in it's about a week. Yeah, I'm friends with Brandon Fugel, and we just match up. He's invited me to go, and so I haven't set foot on the ranch itself. Pretty literally right across from it, and my family has land about a half hour away, so I'm very familiar with the Uinta Basin, which is the whole area, Skinwalker, that has stuff going on.
That place scares me. I don't think I would go if I was invited. I'd be too scared.
Your mind. It really, like, there's something about you bring to it, your emotions and stuff that you bring to the area seems to have an effect on you. So it's weird.
That's awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I hope I am going to check out the show that you were talking about, the Strange and Suspicious. Is that what you said?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
into true crime and a bunch of stuff.
That's awesome. Definitely going to check that out, and I'm going to like really, really hope Fact and Fake reboot comes, because that, I'm telling you, I never missed an episode. It was such a good show, and we need it right now with something that you touched on in the beginning with, all these people faking stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it would be refreshing to see somebody, of somebody like you out there showing that things can be faked, everybody. You know what I mean? So it's not everything is what you see.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think it would kind of do
Yeah.
the field a good service, to see that. So I'm really going to pray for that.
Well, thank you. It'd be fun to do it again.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you so much for coming on. I will let you be free. But I want to thank you so much. This was great. Regardless of technical difficulties, it still was a great interview. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time greatly.
Yeah, I imagine it probably doesn't have on your end. It's probably just me. So I apologize, everyone. It's my computer system, but thanks for
no, thank you. And maybe one day down the future, if I figure out Zoom, I can get you back on again, and we can have a good convo. I mean, this was great, but I just want to thank you so much for taking your time out.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
See you later.
Now I can breathe. Oh, I'm sorry, but I've always looked up to him. I've watched his show. I love his research. I respect it. So that was oh, now I can breathe. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I know it was a little difficult, but I think we could get what he was saying and everything like that. But it was, oh, goodness. Yes, breathe. I want to thank everybody for sticking around. I know it was a little difficult to hear, with the cutting in and the out. But we did the best we could, and I think we could get mostly. I mean, I could hear him for the most part. I hope you guys could hear him too. It's 5:00 somewhere, right? But I did interview him back in the day. I want to say it was probably 2012. Well, I didn't interview him. He was on a show that I produced for. I got him to come on, and collectively we interviewed him. It was called Paranormal Straight Talk. Yeah, that was awesome. Highlight of my 7 years of Paranormal Brew. One of the highlights. I've had a lot of wonderful guests on, and I've been blessed to be able to have on. But that definitely is a highlight of my 7-year podcast. With that being said, I'm going to go. I hope you guys join me this Wednesday coming up. Another great show. I will be on this Sunday. I will be on a podcast. I shared it. Happy Friday, everybody. Now go book something. Yes, I have to go book my wedding venue. So I have to go do that. Vegas. It is Vegas. It is the Little Whitechapel. Elvis included. And I have to go book that. So I want to say thank you guys for checking in and always supporting Paranormal Brew. I love you guys. Thank you, Ben Hansen, for coming on. Busy man. And I was going to ask him how tall he is. I have a picture of him, and my head goes underneath his armpit. That's how tall he is. He's huge. He's big. But he's awesome. I just got back from there. Go book West Hill. Oh, yes. Yes, West Hill Manor. We have to do that. Thank you, Todd. We definitely have to do that. So, yeah. I think he's so cool. Ben Hansen is so cool. And I love his research. I love how smart he is. So I trust it. It's just like my buddy Tim Vickers and Dave Schumacher, and Kenny Biddle. I trust, the things that they do because they're so crazy smart, and they literally, I trust the outcomes of the things that they, he is so smart. He is so smart. But thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. I love y'all. Please tune in Sunday. Sunday I have give me 1 second. I just want to give you guys the correct information. I will be on, I myself will be on a podcast with Midwest. Hold on. I want to get this. I'm trying to get the thing up here. 6 p.m. I think it's 6 p.m. Central, but Midwest Night Watchers podcast on, I think it's on YouTube. I don't know if they go on Facebook, but it's 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern time. That's Sunday night. That I'll be on there. And then coming up this Wednesday on Paranormal Brew. I don't want to look down. That's a bad look for me. We have, give me 1 second. I don't have my calendar in front of me. So the 28th, which is next week, I have Mike Couch coming on to talk about Rhodes Hotel. I love to have people come on and talk about the locations that they run. So Mike Couch, I hope I'm saying his last name. It might be Cook. Mike Cook or Couch. It's spelled Couch, but maybe it's Cook. Mike Cook that runs Rhodes Hotel. He'll be coming on this Wednesday. So be sure to check it out. Everybody, enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you, Ben Hansen, again. Everybody go check him out. Go watch these that show that he has, Supernatural and Suspicious. Is that what it was? And I'm definitely going to check it out. Until next time. Love you guys.